A lot of fans have been asking, are you still going to have podcasts while you're on tour? Well, I'm on tour right now, and here's your podcast. Yes, we are going to have podcasts all summer long. Go to mcchris.com/pages/shows for tickets and information, or just go to mcchris.com and click on the tour poster. There's an option to street team as well. In 2005, I quit Cartoon Network and started touring. It's 20 years later. I'm still at it. Come celebrate with me because I'm probably coming to your town. If I haven't already been there, maybe I'm there right now. Who knows when this takes place in the span of time and space? Go find out at mcchris.com/pages/shows or click on the tour poster at mcchris.com. I already said that. Bring your friends. Make it a party. Invest in actual experiences. They're way better than doom scrolling. Memories last forever, especially if I've traumatized you. Okay, let's do the podcast. Would you like to live till you're 100?
I mean, would you like to live to 55? It depends on what your quality of life would be like. I mean, if I'm jumping around, I
definitely want to live till I'm 55.
Yeah, but I mean, like, let's say tomorrow, if you're like in some terrible state, you might not want to.
Okay, do I want to live it until I'm 55 if I become a complete vegetable?
Right. Well, I mean, that question could be a much deeper question when you're talking about
even if you're frozen stiff and let's say you have eyesight and you can look out your hospital window at a tree and some birds. That wouldn't be enough for you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm very lazy, so that's practically what I have going now. It's not a lot of
the bird looking at you like, buddy,
you're still here? You gotta do something about this, pal. You haven't moved since Wednesday.
You're embarrassing the wildlife. The thing I've noticed about old people is that they are stoked for everything at the end. They're like, whatever they get, they want it.
You mean they're stoked for death, or they're
no? They are whatever happens in their life. Going to McDonald's and meeting their friends in the morning, having their nurse come in or someone bring them a meal. Whatever it is, they love it.
I had very different experiences with
the elderly.
At least with my wife's grandmother. Not with her so much, but with a lot of the people. After a little while, they put her in she was in like an assisted living place. So she had like her own apartment, but like they'd make lunch there and stuff.
I wish they had that for middle-aged men.
They do. You just have to be over 55.
I only have to wait 5 more years, and I can have somebody wiping my ass for me.
Your quality of life is high. Well, you'd have to. I mean, you can get somebody to wipe your ass now. It's just how much you're willing to pay. Your insurance isn't going to pay for it. That'll be like, and you can get spanked and wiped
all in one go.
All in one go. They wipe and then they spank, and then another wipe and then another spank. The spank and wipe.
We wipe and we spank.
That's right.
We provide it all.
Yeah, some of those people are very not happy to be there because there's like people walk around telling you what to do.
I'm sure they're depressed and death is upon them and their bodies don't work. But I just feel like old people in Florida and old people that go out to eat all the time, like they don't seem like, oh, I'm so sad about life. They seem like they're drunk and they're laughing.
I don't know.
No?
I don't think...
We're seeing two different things?
I feel like everyone I see, they're complaining their toast is too hot or too cold, and they're, we're going to share it. 1 egg, 2 plates. There's a lot of and they're all...
Persnickety.
Like, you get old, and then, they have no filters, so they'll tell you whatever they think. I went to the Swiss Chef one time, and there was an old couple with another old person. So 3 old people. And I think maybe it was the husband and his sister were there with the husband's wife. And they sat down. Then they started drinking. There were regulars there. They sat down. They were so sweet, so nice, so everything. Within the course of 1 hour.
Yeah.
I mean, they were at each other's throats. Old people, like you still got a beef. You know this happened. You're still going out with each other.
Didn't squash this beef.
You didn't somehow get rid of. You didn't flip this burger already. Like, and it's
but I
not
feel like
done.
that's their spice. They can't fuck anymore,
Oh my God.
so they just have to.
They were all
quibble.
three of them were screaming at each other, like to the point that you thought they were going to be escorted out, but you could also tell this was such a regular thing that the Swiss chef was like, "I just need the business, and they've been coming here for 30 years. I can't do this to them. This is one of my few lifelines because they're here 6 nights a week screaming at each other. I mean, like calling each other every word you could think of. There's kids in here. There's kids. People try to eat around here. And these 3 octogenarians are calling each other motherfuckers and cunt face. I mean, like everything.
Cunt face.
In a restaurant. And that wasn't, the guy didn't say that. There was the one lady said to the other lady, "Well, what would you know? You're just a cunt face." That was like, we're like, what I'm just trying to have some raclette over here. I don't need.
She walked in, she was knitting. She's like, "I'm just waiting for my friends."
At the beginning, I mean, it was like that. It was literally a Jekyll and Hyde situation.
I used to.
Beaumont, by the way, that's where Footloose took place.
Oh.
In the musical, at least.
One of my favorite movies.
They say, "Beaumont, where in the hell's Beaumont?"
Beaumont, Texas.
And then they sing Footloose again.
I used to work in a Austrian restaurant.
Oh.
My parents had left. When I went to college, my parents moved to Philadelphia. I think we've talked about this already.
Head of the Philadelphia Stock Exchange.
So I was left home alone with the house while they were trying to sell it.
Oh, you were the carrot. How old were you at this time?
I was 18 years old. And I would throw parties in my house because I grew up on 80s movies. I thought the parties was like what you do. I'd walk around with like a box of Swisher Sweets. I'd say, "Hi, my name is Chris. Welcome to my party." I tried to be very Frank Sinatra about it.
Swisher Sweets. Oh, the little cigars.
Yeah. And I didn't even think to open them up and put weed in them. We were just really smoking the cigars.
You were like, "My parents are trying to sell this house. I want to live in here as long as possible.
Yeah.
I want it to smell like the most noxious."
I got really good at cleaning the house after a party. I would walk around with like a towel on each foot, and I'd be walking through the whole house and clean the whole place up. But so I was alone in this house, going to art school in Chicago, and I would take the train there, and I'd read on the train, and I worked in this Austrian restaurant, and it was called Chef Carl's, and it was ran with a K, and it was ran by this like 400-pound Austrian guy who lived above the restaurant, and he was as abusive a chef as you could imagine, and he was totally into the whole yes chef thing where he wanted everyone
What
to call.
did you do at this restaurant?
I was a waiter.
Okay.
And I was never a good waiter. I told everybody it was my first day, like the whole time I worked there.
How long did you work there for?
I worked there until he fired me.
Which was how long? That doesn't tell me anything.
I think I worked there two years.
Oh, okay.
But he was so mean, and he had like an oompa stick, and he loved tongue.
What is an oompa stick?
It had it's like a stick with like bells on it. Like there'd be some point.
A Tuffelskiker.
Call it what you will.
That's what that is, with the devil on the top,
I
little
don't know,
head on the top.
I don't know if there was a devil on the top.
Yeah, and a little
I don't know what Temple of Doom.
Some kind
German
of
restaurant you were going to.
Almost like
and they ripped your heart out of your chest.
Yeah, almost like a little tambourine on it,
and the heart just goes on fire somehow.
Yeah, that's called the devil's stick.
And so like he had all these regulars because part of it was a bar, and they would all start drinking, and he'd start drinking too, like around 4. And it got to the point by the time dinner time rolled around, he was smashed.
And what would he drink?
Oh, I don't know.
Or whatever
Jägermeister. The
anybody was
Jägermeister
drinking.
was like a big thing there. They had like a Jägermeister like decanter or whatever you called it, spigot.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just really abusive. And if he got drunk, I learned this, like, this is one thing I learned about life, is when he came into the kitchen, everything would slow down. And the chefs would get really mad at him because he'd just be like walking in there wasted, and he'd be like slowing the process down of getting the food out to the customers. Once he came into the kitchen, it was like hell because he just was fucking with everybody.
Because he was not letting it just run. He was like going in and stopping everybody.
He was micromanaging.
What are you working on over here?
He was literally
What's this?
micromanaging. Right. But he was a prankster. He would like deep fry a towel and send it out to one of his regulars. And
Jesus.
And
this guy sounds great.
They'd have like bachelor parties in the basement, and I would be like trying to sneak down and look at the stripper, and he would pee off the balcony at the end of the night. His wife, who had like skin like a saddlebag, they were just dark brown, old, sagging skin, and she would give us free bottles of wine when it was illegal to do so. I loved taking the fresh baked bread and dipping it in the vinaigrette for the salad. I would just steal this bread and dip it into the vinaigrette all the time. I was a horrible waiter, though. I would forget customers. Wait
a minute. Back up a minute.
You want to talk about the bread?
No. I want to talk about he was peeing off the balcony at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Like just down on the sidewalk?
He said he was communing with nature.
So he would pee off onto the sidewalk down below.
Into the parking lot. And he had these two daughters, and I had a big crush on one of them, and one of them was like an aerobics instructor, but she was constantly smoking cigarettes. And so I remember one night someone said, "How's the escargot?" And I made some sort of joke, and then he looked at me like he was literally going to murder me, and he's like, "Get me the manager." And he was like, he smarted off to me, or he said a smart
aleck. The customer asked for the manager.
Yeah, asked for it, said I made a smart aleck comment, and so the chef's wife came up and she started abusing me, and she was just so mean, and he was so mean, and it was just living in fear. It was one of those jobs where
what when you say abuse, they're like,
"What are you doing? What you stupid? What
you
don't
just
talk
laugh
to
at them when they're doing that?"
Yeah, it was.
That's an abuse.
And Chef Carl was like this.
Yeah, this sounds like
he's like, "Get out of my
abuse.
face." It was literally like I felt like I was like in a prison camp.
I mean, if a 500-pound guy had that voice, I would never be able to keep a straight face.
Well, I mean,
peeing off a balcony.
I knew it was just like a place that was jam-packed full of characters, and maybe because I started studying writing and was reading a lot and going to school, I was like, I want to go where the
interesting shit's
where the color is. And I remember he just was always yelling at me, abusing me, and like I was always failing in his eyes. He was always giving me a hard time. Basically, I was like a dog he could kick every day.
But he wasn't physically abusive with you.
No.
He was just yelling at you all the time.
It was just berating, you know, and you can tell he was a grown-up child of someone who had been abused. And so one day he's like, come over here, sit next to me at the bar. And he's like, "What is going on with you? What is your problem? Why can't you get it? Why are you making so many mistakes?" And I started crying. and I was like, my family's gone. I'm in this house alone. I don't know what's going on with my life. I don't know what's going to happen to me. And he put his arm around me, and I'm just sobbing my eyes out. And he's like, "When was the last time you were held?" The answer was not in a long time. So it's so funny that
Carl knew.
This guy was so mean, and I was so scared of him. And then one day he's just holding me while I just sob in his arms, like the father that was very absent from my life and had been absent perhaps my whole life. And there, this abusive chef who I feared I had the fear of God with this guy. And then one day I forgot my pants, and he's like, "Go home, don't come back. You're done. You're done." I brought my friend there, and he started working there, and he had no tolerance for abuse. So Chef Carl was cussing him out, and my friend was like, "You can't talk to me like that."
Yeah. And then what happened?
And then he left. Yeah.
He
He's like,
just quit.
you can't abuse me. Whereas I'm like,
all right.
abuse.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Because I was raised with these mean brothers and this kind of neglectful father. And so I was just like, I love it when you hate me.
Yeah. There used to be a place in New York called Chez Le Chef that was like on 3rd Avenue or something.
Sus title.
It was the craziest place ever. The chef, his name was Friedrich. He looked like he was out of a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon. He had a big crazy mustache that like went over and then down to his jowls and up into his hair. He had big thick glasses. I mean, he looked like a cartoon.
You look like Vince Giraldi.
Now, he was not a screaming maniac. He was a one-person operation. Downstairs, he had a pastry shop because he was like a world-renowned pastry chef. So he had all these pastries, cookies and stuff, but when you looked, and he was Austrian, but when you looked at him, some of them further back looked like they were years old.
Yeah.
And then upstairs, there was a little dining room with a crazy handwritten menu with just like Austrian type food. He always had some guy who seemed like he was 16 years old was the waiter. The service was terrible. Everything about it was terrible, except also everything about it was wonderful because it was so weird. And he would always come up and talk to everyone up there. There'd never be more than 10 people in this place. Be like, and what are you doing? Oh, you're so beautiful. What a beautiful. Oh, I got to flip the salmon. And then he would just like run in the back again. Like he would, because he was the only guy in the kitchen and he just want to be out with everybody. But then and then one day he just sat down at our table and told us he had an apartment in Paris, but he couldn't get back in there because there's a squatter living in his place, and like went through this whole. We could never figure out how it was remained open because it was open for years and years.
Yeah,
it used to be a great place. I'd go like with just one other person. It was like good when you were just two of you, and it was quiet, and he was lovely and crazy.
Yeah,
I gotta find a picture of him. I'll put him up.
We had the handwritten menu. And
this was
and
like
he was greeting everybody. Everybody knew him, and
yeah, he was not in the kitchen. He's just
so
out there drinking Jaeger.
If you're fucking up as a waiter, they'd be like, "I've been coming to this restaurant since before you were born."
Now, how old was this
get
guy?
Chef. Well, he was in his 60s or something.
Okay. And what was the restaurant called?
Chef Carl's.
Oh, Chef
and
Carl's.
And the upstairs was always really weird. You'd sneak up there, or you'd have to get yelled at in the office, or you're going to do catering or something, and you'd have a meeting. But then you got a sense of what his personal life was like.
Oh, because that's his home.
The wife had this really gaudy master bedroom with a 4-post bed and like fabric hanging off of it. It was very, very feminine.
Boudoir.
A boudoir. He had a tiny little closet with just enough room for a bed, and it looked like it was just surrounded by like car magazines and who knows what other kind of magazines.
Car magazine.
Yeah. And so he just had like, he would just kind of slept it. He didn't sleep with his wife. I mean, they were two giant 7-foot tall fat people. I don't know if they could fit in a king.
Some Austrian Zeppelins up in that room.
Yeah. But I loved it.
I think on many occasions it's better to not sleep in the same room as your partner.
When like Lucy and Desi, they have their separate beds, or in the old sitcoms.
Rooms.
Oh, separate rooms. Well, I think the separate beds make sense because you're rolling over and you're waking each other up all the time, and cuddling's all good and fine, but then you get too hot.
Yeah, my wife, she's got a totally different schedule from mine, like sleep-wise and stuff. She works late in the night. Then by the time she gets in, I've just barely gone to sleep for an hour and a half, and then just the slightest movement from her will wake me up.
Yeah.
She can sleep through it. Like this morning, her alarm went off at 5, 5:20, 5:30. Then finally at 6, I got up. I'd already been up from the previous 3 alarms. But
that's tough.
She just doesn't get up. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
I don't understand how that's my Carl voice. Yeah, I hate it.
What's happening with my wife.
It drives me crazy though.
Yeah.
I But it's not changing. I mean, we've been married for 20 years now. This is not going away.
Yeah.
Her sleeping through the alarms.
I don't know if the 2 bedrooms that seems like it's kind of, the marriage is over. And you're just roommates.
No, I love it. I love it. Something like because I want to watch TV. She didn't like to watch TV. So sometimes I'll sleep in the back room. If it's like a weekend, I know when I watch a movie or something. Mm-hmm. Because I don't like waking up.
Yeah.
I mean, we most of the time sleep in the same bed, in the same room.
My sleep is horrible.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm waking up every 2 hours.
That's exactly what I do. I just did a sleep study. I had to redo it to get a CPAP. I had one forever. I said I need
snoring.
Yeah, I said I need for more new stuff, new supplies, and they said, "Oh, your prescription's over." I said, "A what?" I said, "Well, you got to do.
You have a prescription for the machine.
You have to. They won't sell it to you,
and you can fall asleep with this giant thing on your face."
Oh yeah, I'm telling you what. If you had sleep apnea, you would not know what a. Maybe you do. Maybe that's why you don't sleep well.
I do hear complaints.
You probably do. We should talk to Doctor the doctor. Say she'll sign you up for the sleep study, and then it's a thing they send you in the mail.
Do you have dreams?
Yeah. What do you think? I'm a robot? Do people not have dreams?
I don't know. When I was high, I never had dreams. Then I sobered up and I was having them. It was like what dreams may come. Everything was like in 4K and super surreal.
Yeah, no. I had a crazy dream last night. My friend Amit Idleman, well, I got to talk to you about the show I saw. My friend Amit Idleman, who produced the show I watched the other night, which is probably why he's on my brain. I had a crazy dream that like we were at a college. It was day 1 of the college. And I saw him and he's like, "Oh, I'll show you where your room in the dorm is." And we're going to all these different weird rooms that were not our room. But I had like some kind of Ziploc bag with some type of weird supplies in it for college. And then I woke up, that damn alarm at 5 o'clock went off before I got to see my room. So I'll never know what my room looks like.
I'm always just like Butterfingers in my dreams where I'm trying to operate things or I'm trying to do things and I'm like, why is this so difficult? And then I'll have the realization, oh, it's because we're dreaming and we don't know how to use a phone in our dreams.
Oh.
Or last night I was at some concert and they're like, and now MC Chris is going to rap Eminem's famous rap. And then I was like, I don't know his stuff by heart.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm trying to use my phone and look up the lyrics. And
that's like a classic performer's nightmare.
I've got tentacles
that's
instead of hands.
Nightmare.
Yeah, I'm constantly having the Beckett nightmare.
Well,
always. Like, it's time to perform. And then I'll be like, I don't know the words.
This is your anxiety.
It means I know the tour is coming and that I have to rehearse. But now I have no time to rehearse. Because everything's getting real busy now.
Who do you rehearse with?
I go into a studio and I just rehearse by myself. But you know what I do is I set up my phone and aim it at me and I do a live show. And it motivates me to like do it.
Because people are watching it.
People are watching and then it makes me perform and it
right.
keeps my energy up. And
do you have a director?
What are you talking about?
Someone watches your show and say, hey, maybe do it like this?
Steven Spielberg walks in.
No, a stage director.
No.
Every tour has a director. You don't have somebody watch this show to give you any type of input?
I get a lot of input from the...
yeah, but they're not...
From the peanut gallery.
Yeah, not the peanut gallery.
No, I don't. I've never had someone give me notes pre-show about my performance. And I don't know if I could tolerate that.
I'm sure you couldn't. That's why you do it all yourself. But I mean, formulating a show.
Well, the show is always like, loosey-goosey because I always like, I develop a bit over the course of the show. So at the end of the tour, I've got this really solid monologue or series of monologues that I'll do at the 30-minute mark or at the open, right. and I'll have bits that I do.
All right.
And those build. I never prep those things before the show starts, before the tour starts.
So if you get in the first 2 weeks, light, thin.
No,
Last
I mean
2 weeks, solid.
I do
solid bits.
I'll do crowd work, and it really.
But I mean,
it really does. Well, I don't know what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, and then I'll get on stage and I'll just start complaining about Skeleton Crew or Acolyte or some Star Wars TV show or some Marvel thing that's disappointing, and it'll just come out of me.
Yeah. Now let me tell you about this show I saw.
Please.
Fantastic. It was at Titmouse Animation.
Uh-huh.
It was a live, pretty much recreation of Alien Encounter from Walt Disney World.
Yes, you've brought this up before.
I finally saw
You're in it.
I finally saw it. It was great. Mark Fite was in it.
I don't know who that is.
He's in a bunch of stuff around town. He's like a super funny guy.
Mm-hmm.
It was great because it was like they did it like an old-fashioned spook show. I mean, everybody in that audience was covered with blood and guts by the end. They were spraying. I mean, it was great. Yeah. It was just super fun. It's like a haunted house, but that you just got to sit down for and didn't have to walk through. They had, gutted corpses falling from the ceiling, and then there was probably a good 10 minutes, all the lights were out with weird shit coming around, and they had, the puppetry was great, and the other guy that did it with me, his name is Adam, and he's directed a bunch of special TV specials for magicians and stuff. So he's like a stage magician guy. Mm-hmm. So they had a lot of, like the glass, in Alien Encounter, like when the tube breaks and there would be the monster coming out and all, but it was like incorporated magic tricks that didn't seem like a magic trick. You just saw, that guy suddenly has his head ripped off. I feel like this, and there's spray coming out.
I feel like this is a new trend that they're starting, like, because there was like a Harry Potter play, and then now there's a Stranger Things play, and plays are becoming like this thing of like magic spectacle with lots of tricks and illusions.
Well,
and when I went to England and I went to the theater, I saw a show like that where they
was it?
I don't know. It's called Ghost, I think, but it was they were all about like scaring you through tricks, stage tricks. Stagecraft.
I mean, I certainly don't think it's anything new.
No,
this was
I feel
totally
like it's a
that.
Renaissance of this stuff. I mean, everything used to be this because there was no TV, but now it's come back.
The Woman in Black. That's that one.
That's like the oldest running play along with Mousetrap.
In London, right?
Yeah.
I never saw it there, but I saw it somewhere else. I'm like, this is it.
This is what everyone's talking about.
Okay. And then I know they did a movie with it, right? Wasn't like
Harry
Potter was in it, right?
Yeah.
That's
didn't float your boat?
It was fine. I think I liked the movie better than the play, but I also think I didn't see a great production of the play. Like that probably would have been. And also I think when I saw the play, it was at a theater I was working at. So I was also working 10 hours a day. And then the one day off, I went and saw this play. So it probably was not mentally
that's what I always loved about plays and musicals, or going to see things in Chicago, is you'd go see like Les Miserables, and I loved it when like there'd be like kind of a, I don't know what you'd call it, like a lazy Susan on the stage, and it would
turntable.
A turntable. It would spin. Or
that's the Les Mis.
Or the Les Mis, like
that's their famous thing, having that turntable.
The furniture,
because the barricades.
The barricades would kind of like transform and roll onto stage. Yep. Anytime there was like
they're the
cool mechanical shit. Or Phantom of the Opera had tons of little tricks where they walk through a mirror, and
that Phantom of the Opera had, when it opened, they stopped it very shortly after, but they had a bunch of radio controlled rats. That would run around on the stage with little red eyes. So it just looked like they were scurrying everywhere. But then I guess they became too much of a pain in the ass. So they're like, all right, we got to cut the rats.
That was my problem with Nosferatu. I don't know if you saw that movie.
I did.
That I guess maybe this is my issue with the Dracula story, is that you have this great first act of this guy going to the castle, and Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula was the same thing, where like the first act
Yeah.
is really good. The guy goes to the castle, he sees Dracula, he acts really creepy, and
You're in creepy town.
yeah,
He's a creep.
and then Act 2 and Act 3, it's just kind of like people don't reinvent the story enough, or Bram Stoker didn't know how to like maintain the energy of that amazing first act.
Well,
So-
like what's Act 2? The boat? No.
Yeah, well, there's just all kinds of stuff happens. But in Nosferatu, by Act 3, you're just watching like a bunch of rats. They don't move a lot, and they're just kind of like, oh, look at these 3 rats on this dead person, and this is Dracula's doing, and isn't this fun? And I love this. I love this director's stuff. I mean, I've got I got all of his movies on hard copy. That's how much I love him. And I was really looking forward to this movie like all year. And then I saw it and I was like, man, I can't tell if I dislike this movie or I just feel like the Dracula story has this flaw of having this great first 45 minutes and then they just kind of like, they don't know what to do with it.
I get like that with a lot of movies. I find I enjoyed the beginning of them more than the whole thing.
It's like when
Like, I
it's like
like all
really
the
eager to please,
setups.
really eager to please, really eager to like explain and have you understand what's happening.
Well, there's so much tension at the beginning of that Nosferatu. Like in the house, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, even though you do know, but like it's so much more interesting than just what happens later.
And then, another thing that might have hurt the movie for me is that I kept on seeing this Lily Rose Depp at the diner that I like.
Oh.
And so I'm always seeing her and her friends, and they're all wearing sweatpants, and they're all eating French toast and getting their food and everything. And I'm just like, and then I see the movie, and I'm like, I can't stop thinking about this. The fact that I saw this girl in her ugly
In her sweatpants.
in her ugly clothes. But I didn't think she was that good of an actress. I really feel like sometimes with casting, I feel like
I don't understand
there are missteps in casting.
why that guy, who's a great director, I've loved his movies. I don't understand why, of all the people in all of Hollywood, in all the world, she was cast in that role.
Yeah.
She should stick to that Walrus movie or whatever that Kevin Smith
Sometimes
one.
Americans doing British accents, it feels very. You can just tell like right away like
What's the worst?
this. That's how you know that they're not good.
Yeah. I mean, and there used to be a time where no British actors did any good American accents.
Yeah.
But that time is over.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what happened.
I would have recast a couple of things. And that guy who was her husband, I felt like the whole movie, he's like, there are no Draculas. How many times do I got to tell you there's no Draculas? And she's like, but there's a Dracula. And I felt like, oh man, these two guys are boring me to pieces. And Willem Dafoe, I think, well, now we're just getting into the nitty gritty of this movie, but Willem Dafoe,
That's all right.
Willem Dafoe, I for sure thought he was going to be like the Van Helsing guy. Now, Van Helsing is like one of my favorite characters in fiction. This whole idea of a monster hunter. I've made like tour posters based on this guy. Every time I leave my apartment, all my hard drives are named after different Universal monsters. And so every time I leave my apartment, my headphones will say Van Helsing lost. Because, when
How do you play a hard drive through your...
Well, like it's connected to my computer. My headphones are. So when I like leave the house, my headphone will lose its connection to the hard drive of the computer because I'm walking my kid and I like to listen to a podcast on the way home or just the news. Mm-hmm. Or really, I'm just listening to our podcast because I'm like, oh, I could have done a better joke there, or oh, I should have shut up there. But yeah, I wanted Van Helsing to be a better character, but he ended up just being this, spoilers, sorry, and I hate it when people spoil movies, so I really, please don't listen to this podcast right now if you haven't seen this movie, but turn it off. But he became like this occultist, and I'm like, oh, that goes against the whole Van Helsing character. He wasn't an occultist. That was, maybe this is from the Nosferatu film in the 70s, or...
I love Willem Dafoe.
I love him too. I love him in The Lighthouse, and...
I feel like in that movie...
He's chewing the scenery a little bit.
It's, you know what it is? It's for me. It was like his. I just didn't ever believe his accent. Like it was just kind of too. I don't know what the word is. It's not the way he acted. And I'm not commenting at all on like what they made that character, but it was just like he's very clearly not the way he's talking. I didn't feel that way at the Lighthouse.
No, Lighthouse is awesome. But and then like the culminating shot, the climax of the whole movie is just seeing this corpse fuck a girl. And then the corpse, then he comes, and then he dies in the sunlight, and you're just looking at this emaciated corpse, and it's supposed to be like disgusting because it's like you shouldn't be immortal because it just turns you into like a walking skeleton. And I just thought, what a strange take. I mean, I do like what they did with the Dracula monster. They made him look like the old Vlad the Impaler picture.
Somebody sent me a picture within the last week that was Nosferatu, that was Don Knotts as Nosferatu. But like they just had photoshopped his face on a picture of Max.
It looked kind of like Don Knotts. Hey, it's MC. If you want to support the podcast, which is a really awesome thing to do because it does cost money to make this, go to mcchris.com and click on the podcast banner. It'll take you right to our link tree, which will take you to our GoFundMe, all of our links, everything you need. Go there. Please make a donation. Every donation is so appreciated. Every week I get a couple of donations. I get the emails on my phone. It cheers me up. It makes me feel I'm not alone out here in the dark. So thank you so much for everybody who's donated. We've raised like $1,500 so far, which is great. There's probably going to be a Patreon in the fall. Stay tuned for that. And we really appreciate every donation. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, click the bell so you get notifications. Follow us wherever you can on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just so you never miss a show. Never want you to miss a show. You never know when it's going to come on. Sometimes it doesn't come on at all. So make sure you got those notifications turned on so you get alerted to the fact that Dana and I have sat down again and are about to give you all the wisdom. And don't forget to leave a review. You can leave a review in the comments, whether it's at YouTube. You can leave a review at Spotify. You can leave a review at Apple Podcasts. These reviews are so important to me. I read these reviews every week. They really encourage me. So if you want to encourage me, and I know you do, please leave a review. Sometimes I take pictures of them and I share them with Dana. Sometimes we read them on the show. We'll say your crazy internet name. Please leave a review. That's like the most important thing. And don't forget to like it if it's on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to follow. And don't forget to click the bell. And also leave a donation. Please support us if you can. Your support means everything to us. Okay, let's get back to the podcast. I went to Don Knotts' grave.
Wow. Where's that?
That's one of the things I love about LA is
it's here.
All the celebrity graves. And I just stumbled on it. I was looking for like Marilyn's grave or Billy Wilder's grave.
Where were you?
Oh, I can't think of what the cemetery is called, but it's
Where is it? Not Hollywood Forever.
West Hollywood. It might have been. It wasn't the big one.
Hollywood Forever is right behind
the one
Paramount.
with like the lake in it. Yeah, I think that's not it. It was a funny little cemetery because it was like literally surrounded by buildings and it was kind of like behind a building. Mm-hmm. It was like one of those things where like LA kind of probably happened around it.
Yeah,
you know,
that might be Hollywood Forever.
Like the Up House.
I mean, it's not super big, but like Valentino's buried there.
Yeah.
One of the Ramones.
No. That's the big one.
That's Hollywood Forever.
That's the one with like the lake and the mausoleum and
that's a mausoleum.
But the one with like, it's much smaller. It's like a rectangle. Whereas there's like two cemeteries that I've been to. There's the one that like Cinespia like does screenings. That's like the big one. That might have been Hollywood Forever.
Hollywood Forever did used to like show on the side of the building.
The one that I went to with Don Knotts was like a tiny rectangle behind a building. You couldn't see it from the street. You had to like basically like go into the building or go to like the parking entrance and then like park.
Yeah.
But Billy Wilder was there and Betty Page and so many. It was just I have like the best time.
You know what's
finding these graves.
The real like weirdos is that one across from Burbank Airport. It's got like 3 of the 5 people who ever a Three Stooge, and Mantan Moreland is there. like a lot of those sort of like B-level 40s, always like a lot of character actors are buried there. But it's not well, it's hard to find them all there.
Yeah.
Because they're all flat. They're all like the ones in the ground. They're not a tomb.
Yeah, this was the one that with Don Knotts, that cemetery was weird. Like you found like Burt Lancaster's grave, but it was just like, couldn't have been like a smaller grave slapped together with a bunch of other, you know, and it wasn't even a tombstone. It was like a tiny little square of stone in the ground.
Like a plate.
Yeah. And just, we were talking about how people have their heyday and then they, you know, you become Mickey Rooney and you're just getting thrown down the stairs at the end of your life. And somebody,
sign the check, Mickey.
That's the thing about you go to these celebrity cemeteries and you're like, some of these people didn't have any money at the end of their lives.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Or someone like Marilyn Monroe, like, is just put in next to other people that are just like, you know, some rich guy in LA. Like, it's not like a shrine or like, you go to Graceland and it's like, and you don't even know if he's there, but there's like, it's just it's like literally like a temple.
It's ridiculous.
To one guy.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people, like, they die, they have no money, and they're just, they do what they can afford.
I always, at Hollywood Forever, there's like, in the mausoleum, there's one section where there's like little windows, so they could put sort of like a little collection of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's one, I think his name is David White, who played Larry Tate on Bewitched. He was the boss.
I think I saw Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley.
David Lander?
Yeah.
There?
Yeah.
Like walking around?
No.
He
had like a little,
hello?
He had like a little, hello? You looking at my grave?
Oh, God, I just stepped in a piece of dog shit. Hello? So he's like that.
I love Laverne and Shirley.
Cheryl, there's a bird clump of cat barf in the vacuum cleaner. Hello? Always walk in after some this milk is rotten. Hello?
And did they ever hook up?
No.
It was always asexual, their relationship with those guys?
Yeah.
They never, and weren't
Lenny
they,
would bite the back of his hand.
They were like really hot for them. They were really horny. That's why they were biting their hands.
Yes. But I think Lenny and Squiggy were open season. They were shotgunning. They'd take anything they could.
What's the blonde one's name who was in Spinal Tap and
the blonde one of
Lenny.
David and Michael McKean.
Michael McKean. He was in Diplomat on Netflix, which I just watched and loved. Kerry Russell is like a diplomat on Netflix. It was a great show. He was the president. And I'm
he's
like,
a big music guy.
This guy has been around and
he wrote
killing
like,
it forever.
In the 70s, like he wrote a bunch of albums that were like excellent children's albums. But they're like, the songs are really great. They're really smart. Because, you know, he also did a lot of the music for like Mighty Wind. That's why those guys all did it, because they all play and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's like, there's a great Laverne and Shirley album with the best song on it, in my opinion, called Squiggy's Wedding Day, which is great. It's real. It's that real, what we were talking about before, that real like 50s for the 70s.
You know, Phil Hartman used to be a graphic designer, and he did multiple vinyl covers for bands in the 70s, like America and...
Did he do it in Canada?
Steely Dan, and I don't know. But he was a graphic artist before he went to Groundlings.
Interesting.
I like it when people have like these careers before their careers.
They could.
That's always interesting to me.
Could fall back on his graphic designing. Then you wonder, like, how true was that? Like, he designed the whole album, or he was like in the office where they were doing it. But
no, he was like an artist.
What if it was a pyramid on there and something? Yeah, oh, thanks, Phil. Go get some more. Go get me some more cream. Yes, Carl. You fool. I'm sorry. What are you, a clown? Maybe I should be a clown. You're like a groundling. You're slobbering around. That's it.
What are you, like Captain Carl?
I should join the Groundlings and play Captain Carl.
I would have loved to have been in LA in the 80s when all these, like before UCB, kind of like
when that was it.
When Second City and Groundlings were like the only options.
Here's what I could never figure out. Saturday Night Live was Saturday Night Live. Okay, fine. Then there's always got to be, the LA version. So there's the
Friday
Groundlings.
Night? Oh, okay.
But then they did Mad TV. And that was all like Michael Hitchcock talking about all those mighty... Like he sort of, at least when we did something with him, like he was sort of in charge of the Groundlings. He was sort of like the elder guy of the Groundlings. But also he was like somehow
something about Fox
deeply involved
was like,
with...
It was always shitty.
Yeah.
It was like...
Like everybody on there was working.
Married with Children and Mad TV and Living Color. Like it wasn't horrible, but it also none of it was good though. But I mean, that's just me, and we might get some hate for that. But
no, I mean, you can't objectively watch any of that, and there were some like Living Color is a different thing. That was much better, but like that Mad TV, it just seemed
Mad TV was horrible.
Yeah. Like,
because I grew up, I worshipped SNL. I was always looking for more content.
Mm-hmm.
But there was nothing that ever kind of met SNL's cadre.
The benchmark.
Yeah.
I watched, we were talking about, my friend is going through all this George Slattery stuff for the NBC or whatever, but I think his daughter is putting stuff up on YouTube. We had a record yesterday, and we were all talking about it. He put up, whoever's in charge of George Slattery's YouTube channel put up the new Laugh-In show, which was like from 1980, maybe even late 70s, but the cast included first time on television, Robin Williams. So probably it is coked up and it also has that clearly trying to, this is ripe for this because Saturday Night Live's doing great, so let's do it too. But it's so ham-fisted.
I watched a Laugh-In clip the other day, and it was B. Arthur and the puppet. There was the old lady, and it was puppeteered by a gay man.
Waylon Flowers and Madam.
Yeah.
They have names. It's not just an old lady puppet and a gay man.
Well, I don't know what it is, okay? But it was fucking... like top tier, so good. And I'm like, man, I kind of want to go down this rabbit hole because this guy is hilarious, and the puppeteering is like flawless. I mean, you really forget that a puppet is happening.
And he's not even trying to disguise himself. He's not in like a. He's not even hidden.
He's moving his mouth.
Yeah.
He's not being a ventriloquist. He's just like
he's just doing the puppet.
But the puppeteering is so good, you really forget he's there.
I sent my friend, when my friend Brooks was sick once, I sent him a DVD. There is a Waylon Flowers and Madam DVD on Amazon that is
must have been one of the first DVDs.
I mean, no. This is what's weird. It is like two performances because I think basically he got to start performing at clubs in West Hollywood in like the 70s. But it's a full show of him like live at some, I don't know what, some little live club in West Hollywood from the 70s or early 80s. It's hysterical. You can see why somebody probably came from Dance Fever or whatever, like, I got to get that guy on the show because that puppet is all. I mean, there was a show.
Hollywood Squares is calling your name.
There was a sitcom called Madam's Place. That Madam owned a hotel.
I vaguely remember this.
And she ran it. And I think like Waylon Flowers was like the bellboy or something, you know. She'd be like, come over here, dummy. He would hide for the show, but then his face was also on it. I think it was like a Fox.
It was like Jim Henson, where it's like the way that they're operating the wires that hold the hands. It's like they were so good at it. And they're barely doing anything. And I feel like something that's really like modern puppeteers are, gosh, we're kind of getting to that Muppet area again. But something's wrong with the new Muppets. And it's like the way they use their hands and the way the puppeteers are controlling the hands. But like something about Madam and I like Dr. Teeth being on Johnny Carson or something, the way that they just like manipulate these hands to do what they want them to do. It was like they were really in their element. Like they were just like surfing. They were as perfect as could be. Like an illusion really was happening.
I got a lot of compliments when I was in Richmond with my granny puppet routine where I bring someone up out of the audience.
You have a granny puppet?
Oh, yeah. I was emceeing the late night Nerdlesque show, so I brought Granny up there to give one of her country cooking recipes for Granny's hot red snapper country style. And I brought some guy up. I think his name was Charlie. She sits on his shoulder, put the little arm over, but I'm just over here. And he's reading the recipe card. Step 1, moisten the snapper. Step 2, check the internal temperature.
How many years was Squidbillies on?
I couldn't even tell you.
Long time.
12.
As long as Mike was making TV.
It's hard because the seasons are always so inconsistent. It's not like every time they did it, it was just 22 episodes. This one was 10 episodes, and this one was 3 episodes, and this one
that really was like the last of the homegrown shows. There was Space Ghost, then there was Aqua Teen, and then there was Squidbillies. And it was really, those things existed because they were Lazo's babies.
Mm-hmm.
And Squidbillies was a thing that was really Lazo's idea, and there were auditions for that thing for like a year. And I auditioned for it, and they built a recording studio in William Street. I don't know if you remember this, to just audition people.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, I'd try to do like the guy who wore the hat, and I did it like Ross Perot, the guy that wore the hat. I've never seen I'd never seen Squidbillies. Well, it didn't exist yet. But
I auditioned for Rusty, who's the son, but the scene they sent me was Rusty and Granny, so I just read both parts, so it was just the scene.
Uh-huh.
And then
Laz was like, we gotta have him do Grandma.
Well, apparently Matt Malero was going to be Grandma or Granny, and then I guess Matt was like, no, let him do it. Then I don't have to do it. I think is what Matt happened. But I was just auditioning for Rusty.
But yeah, it really was supposed to be like, we've never talked about the South before. And all these guys who make Adult Swim are Southerners. They're from the South. And it was their one opportunity to like talk about the South, talk about their upbringing. But also the look of it kind of had a Southern folk art, Harold Finster kind of look to it.
Ben Prisk is the guy who designed all the backgrounds and stuff.
Was he a Southern folk artist?
Yeah, he's used to have all that stuff he's got stuff all over Atlanta.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that place is right next door to the Plaza Theater. There's like, I don't know, the Righteous Room or so, I don't know what it's called, but there's a little bar in that next to that Plaza Theater that used to always sell his stuff.
I remember I got drunk there once and took a chair out into the parking lot and smashed the chair to pieces just for a laugh.
Did anyone laugh?
I don't know. I was in the parking lot.
Okay.
So we're going to read some reviews.
Whoa!
Before we conclude today's show. Michael Rhodes, and this is all just reviews that I got off my Facebook page, but please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or on YouTube.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll jump around here. This podcast is fantastic. I hope you guys truly enjoy doing it as much as we love listening to it. We don't enjoy it.
Who's this we? How is he listening with the group?
That'd be great.
He's speaking for everybody
if
now?
People got together and listened to the show
I'm not
together.
discouraging people talking about this. I'm just saying words mean things.
This is from Bryce Widholm. Oh. You guys make my ride to and from work, from the simplest of banter to the most intriguing banter. I hate finishing an episode and having to wait for the next episode. Keep it up, you two. My question is there a person you just disliked or could not stand working with? And I wrote back to him, our goal is to not trash people and just keep it light.
Just assume it's everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
people disliked me.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to be MC Chris all the time, and I was trying to like get my MC Chris career going, and people just wanted to, why can't you just be an automaton and be like John Preston over here? And
I feel like everybody over probably got annoyed with everyone else at some point, but also everybody's like hand selected, so there's not as many fiery.
One guy got a job there just because he sent his resume in on like a giant piece of paper, and he wrote it like on a giant, He just was surreal in the way he sent in his resume, and they were like, hired.
Dave Willis got hired because he had his friend's 6-year-old son write his recommendation letter. And it was great. But they were like, yep, all right, come on down, man. Sometimes you got to do that stuff. Yeah, I don't think anybody. I'm sure there were people who hated each other, but I don't think it was like some.
One thing I did notice throughout the shows is that they always hated the After Effects guys, the guys who weren't writers, who really like assembled the shows and made everything move. For some reason, like on C-Lab and on Brack's show, I mean, these guys were just, they weren't, socially great, which I think was kind of a key ingredient.
Like, who was someone? I'm not saying to call them out, but who was someone who would that have been?
Well, I won't say any names, but I think that there was just there was a disconnect between the animators and like the writers and the voice people, and like
where the actor, you're not talking about the editors.
No, not Jay and Ned. Everybody loved Jay and Ned
because those guys would like basically build the show.
Yeah, like Radical Axis guys like that. There were just
other companies.
They were just kind of weird.
They weren't in the building.
But it wasn't just one company or one guy.
Yeah,
it was like I think guys who were good at that weren't great at just socializing and hanging out, and so much of that job was socializing and hanging out.
Well, also I feel like a lot of times, at least at the start, it's not like Atlanta was doing tons of animation. So all of a sudden you have these outside companies who do stuff like that, but who were not used to doing animation. They're doing local Toyota commercials, or come on down to Chachi's Chicken Hut.
Basically, I watched a lot of things go from one guy to 200 employees.
Yeah.
I just finished the latest episode, maybe 15 minutes before you posted this. My band had a gig an hour away.
Wait, is this Dusty Rhodes?
This is James J. Dub Duncan. That's a lot of names.
Mm.
Maybe it's
J-Dub.
Maybe it's 4 guys. My band had a gig an hour away, and I listened to it on my way home. You and Dana are fantastic. I love you both. Love hearing all your stories, from y'all's convention experiences to strip club DJs to the early days of Adult Swim, and all you say about your time touring. It's funny and lighthearted and always puts me in a better mood. Thank you, MC. Happy face emoji, heart emoji.
Thank you, MC. Guess I'm not a part of that. Real nice. J-Dub. Thank you, MC.
Chris Reed. It's great. You had me on the verge of weeping in the episode when you talked about George. I didn't know him personally, but he was kind enough to talk to me every year at Dragon Con for decades. I don't know if he really remembered me each time, but he always made it seem like he did. Yeah, he didn't.
He recognized your friends, Thomas Jefferson, on the $20 bill.
Mark Allen Gilkerson. I'm really enjoying the podcast. Keep them coming. I'd like to hear more about Dana's work as a voice actor and your work as a rapper, as that's how I know you both, and that's what I find interesting. Definitely making my morning commute more lively, and I just wanted to say thanks. And I wrote back, we're just kind of going wherever it takes us. I'm sure there will be more origin stories. I just listened to the newest episode. I love the show. It makes me incredibly sad to hear you might be done with voice acting. I enjoy everything you do so much. I hope you keep finding success, enjoying your life. I'll always be a big fan and supporter of you. And to that, I say, I'm not done with voice acting. I'm just trying to be okay with there being nothing happening in the voice acting realm.
I mean, there's not much these days anyway.
Yeah, Dana gets all the parts anyway, but don't
Tom Kenny gets all the parts.
Don't misunderstand me. I'm not sad. I'm just trying to find like this new Buddha Zen state where I'm not letting things depress me anymore. You come out to LA and you have these hopes and dreams, and then you find that you're just going to end up becoming one of these like sun warped crazy people. And
with your Botox lips.
With your Botox lips and your
a lot of people,
because
they can't see you because they don't have video. You have a full spray tan. You're like the color of amber coffee. You've got humongous Botox lips.
I look like Chef Carl's wife.
Hair plugs, eyebrow, blonde tips. You've gone Hollywood. You're wearing Ugg boots.
I was going through my photos. This is the last thing I'm going to say.
The other thing real quick, by the way,
Go ahead.
Before they bemoan your you also get to do your dream of doing music and doing a tour every year. And
I get to get up and on stage, and I get to make jokes. I get to hear a whole room of people laugh. I think Dana and I are very similar in the fact that we do a lot of cool stuff, but at the end of the day, we just want to have that immediate theatrical experience of like winning people over. And I think we both love that feeling of everybody laughing in a room. Doesn't matter what the room is, doesn't matter where we are.
I love that. But if someone gave me $100 million tomorrow, goodbye. No one would ever see me again.
I think I would still do it. I think I'll always need
out.
I mean, because I was like a frustrated improviser. I never got to like really be on an improv team. I never got to do that. And so, and I never really understood stand-up. That was always a really weird thing to me. So I found this way to like exist and still be pleased, you know,
that's like me. A lot of live stuff I do is also like that. It's not stand up. It's not.
It's very
improv.
It's very
like
cabaret.
It's very
It's very like you tell stories, you do songs. You tell stories, you do songs.
Which is kind of like all I ever did in New York. Yeah. Whenever we would do a show, that's like what the stuff was.
It's very old school.
Like it's sort of, we did when we did that burlesque show. I hosted Friday night. Brian O'Halloran did Saturday night. So mine was more, I had my tuxedo, all that. Mine was more like 1950s Las Vegas. Brian's is like 2003 Atlantic City. He's the guy he played Dante in Clerks. And we're good friends. But we came to each other's shows.
That's a nice little trivia tidbit at the end of this one. Okay, so last thing I want to say, apropos of nothing.
Oh.
So I was going through photographs, and I found a photograph. I took a Charles Fleischer, voice of Roger Rabbit.
What in your brain said I gotta get this out real quick? What is it?
Talking about Botox and people in LA.
Okay,
and, right. Sometimes you'll see a star in real life in LA and you'll just be like, God.
Yeah.
But Charles Fleischer, he's got like kind of he's just an old guy.
Yeah.
And his spine is curved and he's become like this old man. And he was with what I assume was his girlfriend. Maybe it was his daughter. But with this really hot young woman
who was his personal assistant he's paying.
It
could be like his handler or his
nurse.
Could
be his handler or his assistant, but she was extremely attractive.
Okay.
So I'm just like, Charles Fleischer.
So there's hope, is what you're saying.
Well, I don't know what I'm saying. I just thought it was so funny that this guy who...
He's old and disgusting. He's old and disgusting. A young, beautiful woman. Who will tolerate being
in the vicinity of him. Then I imagine them having sex and him using the Roger Rabbit voice.
No, he's begging for sex and just going, please. No, please. No. I had a similar, I was at an audition and this woman was sitting next to me who looked basically homeless. And then they called her name and she said, okay, I'm coming right now. And I love this person. So I'm not trying to trash her.
I love Charles Fleischer, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Paula Poundstone. She did not have her hair dyed. She just was in her regular go into the grocery store
clothes. If you've really succeeded in LA, you look like you are homeless and you have not succeeded.
If you see a guy at Starbucks who's got something out and he looks like he crawled out of a dumpster, that guy wrote all the Fast and Furious movies.
I saw Sarah Gilbert and Linda Perry the other day over the weekend. And
where are you going? You see all these people.
I live in Los Angeles.
Yeah, but where'd you see them?
I'm not revealing my locations.
But
anyway.
Other than Good Neighbor.
They both look like dumpster divers. They look like people that I like East Village bohemians. And, they looked a mess. And I'm like, and I was sitting next to him and I was like, these people are millionaires. I'm always like, oh, there's some lint on me, or oh, there's a hair. I need to get rid of this hair here. And I'm really OCD about everything. And real success is just not giving a fuck anymore.
Yep. Well, they're just cashing residual checks in at this point. Speaking of, let's cash ours in. Goodbye, everybody.
The huge one. Thank you, Dana. We'll see you next week. Hey, it's MC. Once again, come see me on tour this summer. I'm touring right now. Summer of 2025 for all those of you who are in the future. Go to mcchris.com/pages/shows for tickets and information, where I'm going to be, how much it's going to cost. It's not going to cost a lot. It's a very inexpensive ticket, so you should buy it. So go buy it. Go see all my dates at mcchris.com/pages/shows or click on the tour poster if you want a street team and get the word out. The link's right underneath the tour poster there at mcchris.com. I hope I see you out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have a lot of great songs about candy and Boba Fett's and pizza and ninjas. I have some jokes that maybe go on too long, probably about Andor and how it really should have been called Luthen. I'm going to have some throwback merch, some cool pins and hats, all kinds of shit you don't need but want. And that's a responsibility. Okay, thanks for listening. Thank you so much for all the support. Keep on listening to this podcast, and I hope I see you out there on tour. Go to mcchris.com/pages/shows for tickets and information. Okay, thanks. Bye.